War is not just fought on the battlefield. It's also fought in the minds of the people. Armies don't just need to defeat the enemy's soldiers. They need to win the hearts and minds of the civilians. But how do they do that?
Well, through a combination of psychology, propaganda, and good old-fashioned fear.
In this video, will be looking at some of the ways that armies control the minds of the people through fear. The first way is through the use of propaganda. This can take the form of posters, leaflets, pamphlets, radio broadcasts, or even movies. The goal of propaganda is to influence the attitudes and behaviors of the population.
For example, during World War II, the British government produced a series of posters that encouraged people to keep calm and carry on in the face of the German threat.
These posters were designed to evoke a sense of patriotism and courage in the British public.
Similarly, during the Vietnam War, the U.S. military produced a propaganda film called The Fog of War, which attempted to justify the conflict and demonize the enemy.
Another way that armies control the minds of the people is through the use of censorship. By controlling what information people have access to, armies can shape how the conflict is perceived. For example, during the Iraq War, the U.S. military censored images and videos from the battlefield, often preventing the public from seeing the full extent of the violence.
This was done in an attempt to minimize the negative impact of the war on public morale.
Similarly, during the Syrian civil war, the government has been known to censor social media and shut down internet access in order to control the narrative around the conflict.
The next way is through the use of surveillance.
This can involve monitoring public spaces, intercepting communications, or even using facial recognition technology. Surveillance can create a climate of fear and uncertainty, which can then be used to control people's behavior.
For example, during the war in Afghanistan, the U.S. military used surveillance drones to monitor the movements of suspected insurgents.
This information was then used to target those individuals for capture or elimination. Finally, the use of torture. Torture is a horrific and inhumane practice, but it has been used throughout history by militaries to control the minds of the people. By inflicting pain and suffering on individuals, militaries can break their will and force them to comply with their demands. For example, during the Spanish Civil War,
The Republican government was known to use torture to extract confessions and intimidate its opponents. Similarly, during the war in Vietnam, both the U.S. military and the Viet Cong were known to torture prisoners of war.
These are just a few of the ways that militaries have controlled the minds of the people throughout history. By understanding the psychology of fear and using tactics such as propaganda, censorship, surveillance, and torture, militaries have been able to maintain control over their populations and shape the course of history. But it is important to remember that these tactics are not always successful and often lead to negative consequences for all involved.